What a slap in the face, hey? Dr. Anthony Fauci pleaded the fifth over 100 times in a Senate hearing with a full pardon. And by the way, what did he need to be pardoned for anyway? Oh, sure, the left said if the right won, they might go after him for something, but for what? If everything was above board and everyone was doing the right thing, what could they do? Plant a cop behind a bridge all day long and twice on Sunday. If you aren't speeding, he can't get you on anything. You're only in trouble with the law if you've broken it. So then, even why the fifth? If there's nothing to hide and all was good, why not take the opportunity to vehemently defend everything that happened, or even to admit, hey, we may have made a few mistakes? It happens. Sometimes it happens even with the best of intentions and nothing malicious behind it at all. I got a kick out of Senator Hawley's line of questioning. Let's try something here, he said, before asking Fauci what color tie he was wearing and what day of the week it was. He pleaded the fifth even on those questions. You're not going to be incriminated for wearing a black tie or claiming it's Wednesday, so does the Fifth Amendment even apply? I think Hawley said it right when he told Fauci, this just goes to show this hearing has nothing to do with exercising your rights, but rather to show contempt for this body and for the American people. I mean, the thing about it is, the decisions that were made, right or wrong, and I suppose that can be debated endlessly, although honestly, I think the whole thing was crazy, affected countless lives. I think more than COVID itself, really. People lost jobs, people lost businesses. The education of children was set back. There were enormous psychological tolls. Many were forced to vaccinate or risk losing their jobs, despite the vaccines being entirely experimental and untested. People were denied access to dying loved ones and couldn't even attend funerals. And of course, we now know social distancing didn't work, masking didn't work, even double and triple masking. The vaccines didn't even really work. They told us the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines were better. Turns out the Johnson & Johnson one was. They even denied time-tested natural immunity. I mean, the list goes on, and there's no need for me to rehash what we already know. We've got the data now. We know the facts. Look, I had serious doubts from the word go on this. I'm a cynic by nature. I kept telling myself something wasn't right. Something felt off. Things just weren't adding up for me. And it wasn't about politics. I know a lot of people want to make it into that. Now, Grant, this may have been some uncharted territory, fair enough, but that was also part of the problem. If you're in uncharted waters, you want everyone on board to offer their thoughts and ideas about what's happening and what to do next. But that didn't happen. A couple of people set the narrative and the guidelines, and that was that. No further discussion was thought to be needed. And most of that was coming directly from Fauci himself. If you went against the status quo, you were labeled a maniac. You were silenced. Your credibility was sought to be damaged. The word misinformation got tossed around nonstop. And we were told anyone asking questions should be considered dangerous. Yet, many of these dissenters turned out to be right about nearly everything, as a matter of fact. So it begs the question, when Fauci pleads the fifth, what is he actually protecting? Who is he protecting? And I think the what is as important as the who, because there do seem to be a lot of questions about what was actually behind this and what was really going on. I say it all the time. I'm not prone to be conspiratorial, but again, something just felt off. And considering everything else going on at the time with impeachments and an election right around the corner, I don't know. There's a lot that could be said here, but that's a road I really don't want to go down right now. Maybe at some point I can do a follow-up video highlighting some of the thoughts I have. That many others happen to share, by the way. Let me know in the comments if you want me to talk about it at some point in the future. I'll give it some thought. If nothing else, it might provide for a little bit of entertainment for you. The bottom line for me is that I think, regardless of what we might learn from Fauci's testimony, the American people deserve answers. We deserve transparency, especially when we consider how much power during that time the government took over our lives. What choices did we, the people, actually have? Our freedoms in so many ways were literally stolen from us, all under the guise of the common good. The government is not supposed to ever have that kind of power. If Tom, who owned the corner bar, decided, hey, I'm opening anyway, police raided his business and rounded people up. The government decided his business was not important. He wasn't allowed to make a living. That's wrong regardless of what someone tries to justify behind making the decision. Sure, COVID was real. No one is denying that. People got sick. Some people got very sick. And yes, some people died. I will never, ever make light of that. But even then, there are so many questions and I think a lot of you have too. Like, was it really as bad as we were led to believe? I mean, the numbers of deaths were bad. One person losing their life can't ever be good, but the death toll was 0.1% to 0.3% of the entire world population. Spanish flu wiped out over 5%. Most estimates put the official COVID death toll around 7.1 million worldwide, 22 million if you account for excess mortality, which includes all sorts of deaths that occurred as a result of the pandemic, but not necessarily who died directly from COVID. That would be things like pandemic-related disruptions in the healthcare system, as well as people who died from other things that couldn't be treated due to the overwhelming attention on COVID. Even if you consider that higher number and compared it to the impact the Spanish flu had, if population numbers were the same as when, say, COVID happened, the death toll would have been around 400 million deaths. You have to consider this when you decide this was as serious as the government and the media told us it was. Again, I'm not making light of anything here. I'm just saying a lot of lives were impacted by the decisions that were made. Most of those decisions turned out to be wrong. And as a result, the lingering impact of COVID goes far beyond the virus itself. And we need to know why. Fauci could have helped us to shed some light on at least understanding what happened, why certain decisions were made, why so many other ideas were thought to be dangerous and silenced, and that could have helped us potentially make better decisions. All important things to have some data on because the likelihood we'll have a future superbug is very high. It's also important to know about and discuss the true origins. Even Fauci himself all but admitted in a diary it came from a lab in Wuhan and was not, as he had stated publicly time and time again, from a wet market. And here's something else to consider. If Fauci's intentions were good, if he made decisions he thought were in the best interest at the time of the American people, doesn't pleading the fifth now sort of confirm that wasn't the case? Or at least raise a lot of questions? I mean, we're trying to understand. Wouldn't Fauci want to continue his legacy in a positive light and further the conversation so that there's a real benefit to everything we learned about COVID? He was supposedly the leading expert, right? He had all the answers. He set the guidelines. He made the recommendations. He wrote the sales pitch. He couldn't wait to be the hero and get on TV and be the lead guy. And now he wants to clam up? Again, what's he hiding? Maybe we even want to ask the question, what did Biden know or his people know? Whoever was actually running the White House at the time, but I digress, but that it became important to make sure Fauci was protected by a pardon. I mean, the whole thing stinks, then and now, and maybe especially now. What was really going on? Could it have been planned? Could it have been about the election? Or was it all just something that happened and there's nothing more to it than that? Were the decisions that are now known to be wrong ones just mistakes, or was it something else? And if the truth is the truth, which is what Fauci and anyone else involved told us over and over again, why the need to plead the fifth? Let me know in the comments what you think about all this, because I think it's an interesting and important conversation to have. All of us were impacted by this in multiple ways, some more than others. And I think getting to the bottom of this is something we ought to all be very interested in. We want transparency. We need honesty. We have to hold the people making decisions that impact our lives responsible to at least talk to us. If you can't even answer a simple question, like what day of the week it is, you're just waving your middle finger and putting it somewhere very uncomfortable.